Good morning. Welcome to the live and virtual homes of the Calgary Unitarians. My name is Jeff Grutz. My pronouns are he and him. I have the privilege of representing your Board of Trustees this morning. I've been a member of this community for around 20 years because I can engage in meaningful community building work with others who share my interests in the outdoors, environmental, social justice, and transportation equity. I also gained valuable life skills like slicing a roasted ham last Sunday. For a Jewish adult who was bar mitzvahed at 13, this was quite a watershed moment for me as a Unitarian. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey of faith or search for meaning, welcome. If you are visiting for the first time or the first time in a long time, know that we are grateful to have you with us. If you are with us in Penner-Baker Hall this morning, and in this category, if you are comfortable doing so, please feel free to either wave or rise and perhaps tell us from where you're visiting. Well, welcome. Visit with us more than a single time, since our services vary widely and are a mix of ministerial and lay-led. Unitarians have few rituals, and Sunday service formats are certainly not amongst them. We come together in beloved community to grow in wisdom, welcome and deepen relationships, and act for a just and sustainable world. If you have attended past Sunday services where I've offered a morning welcome, then you are prepared for a greeting with interactive elements. I was informed directly and indirectly by First Nations elders that it's okay and even encouraged to vary our usual land acknowledgement statement, especially via a means where our community members can be engaged. This morning, our shared reading of the land acknowledgement is an educational opportunity to share this responsibility and speak from our hearts rather than just listening to me. We are, in effect, recreating responsive readings many of us recall from our Sunday services of years ago. Peter, please take it away.
We start, as always, by acknowledging... We start, as always, by acknowledging the land we are on is the traditional Treaty 7 territory of the people of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Siksika, located near Strathmore, east of Calgary, the Piikani, near Brockett, west of Lethbridge, and the Kainai, located near Cardston, southwest of Lethbridge. We also take this moment to acknowledge the Tsuut'ina, presently located on Calgary's southwest boundary, and the Stoney Nakoda, comprised of the Chiniki, Bears Paw, and Wesley First Nations, presently living west of Calgary, near Morley, west of Longview.
The Blackfoot word for what is now known as the city of Calgary, Mohkinstsis, is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. We are committed to reconciliation, which starts with taking this and every opportunity to acknowledge our honor and privilege to live, work, and play with these First Nations, within these First Nations territories.
We of the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta signed on September 22nd, my birthday, 1877, acknowledge that treaties were entered into as a collaboration between settlers and Indigenous peoples, making us all treaty people.
In offering this land acknowledgement, we honor those who have long been her stewards and accept our shared responsibility for being good caretakers. Calgary Unitarians would like to invite you to advocate for what you love and to preserve our environment for present and future generations to enjoy, while educating yourselves and others on Indigenous history and perspectives.
Offering a land acknowledgement is but one step on our shared truth and reconciliation journey. Please take a few moments after the service in Wickenden Hall, 2 sets of doors to the north, to read on the leftmost bulletin board sources for updates on the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's 94 action statements. As of today, 13 are complete and 31 are in progress and underway. Also, please attend via Zoom our next Friday. Please join us in Wickenden for coffee, tea, cookies in person, virtually online, in breakout rooms where we'll have time to socialize and, importantly, have the draw. No, we did that last week. The Zoom link for coffee time will be shared at the end of this service. Full spiritual enlightenment, as you well know, can be obtained by assisting with putting away tables and chairs once we're done socializing.
Is going to deliver. Thank you. And thank you to all our willing volunteers. Good morning. Welcome. I'm Reverend Shelley Thompson. My pronouns are she and her, and I am delighted to be the interim minister here at Calgary Unitarians. I am joined this morning by Christian Power and Jane Perry. Woo! And Breton Saunders. Where's Breton? She's here. Breton's going to be filling in today for our dear Sheila, who's home not feeling well. So we're going to send her some well wishes and be so excited to hear what Breton has to say for us. And of course, we're joined by all of you here in the hall and on Zoom. So now's a great time if we want to rise and by your spirit and wave at Zoom and say good morning to one another here in the hall. Hi, Zoom. We love you. Hi. Hi, Carl. I know. So cute. How did it go? Did you have, how was Friday? This is your preview of coffee hour. If you've never been to one, this is what coffee hour is like. Time for conversation, sharing the love. Guess what, everybody? It's only 5 sleeps until cabaret. Woo, 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 woo. The choir is on fire. The band is ready to go. The snacks and beverage menu is fantastic. And our volunteers are totally excited. And we sure hope everyone's excited too. Are you excited? Woo, woo, woo! So if you haven't bought a ticket for Cabaret yet, we really want you to go visit that table in coffee hour. There's going to be a table out there where you can purchase your tickets. And it's $25 for regular, $20 for senior or student, and free for children and youth 13 and under. And we give them a ticket so we can save them a seat. So that's important if you have kids coming with you. And then, if you're on Zoom, you can, in fact, buy tickets online so that you can then come in person. This is a special in-person cabaret only. So those of you home on Zoom, be sure to buy your tickets, too, if you haven't already. And there is always a pay-what-you-can option, and we absolutely mean that. We don't ever want money to make anybody feel like they can't come to cabaret. So you come on in and you say, I've got $1, can I come in? And we say, yes, come on in. So we definitely mean that. And this is our biggest fundraiser, right? It's a fundraiser and a fundraiser. And here at Calgary Unitarians, it's a tradition, and it's been 3 years. 4 years. Oh, 4 years. 4 years. I haven't gotten to do this. This will be my first time in person with this. I'm so excited. So we're just going to be celebrating this particular cabaret with that special poignancy and gratitude this year, and especially because our Jane is going to be there with us, and she's been working her tushy off, and Christian's been working his tushy off, and the choir and everybody. So come to cabaret. It's going to be awesome. This is National Poetry Month, and we're so excited today to be celebrating Poetry Month with our very own Kathy and Carl and Lori, who are going to be our guest poets today, sharing with us the theme of joy this year for Poetry Month, and showing us what's wonderful and amazing about poems. And they encourage everybody to try to be a poet. Everyone can do it. They're trying to convince me. I'm not sure yet, but I'm going to listen and take some notes. So we're very excited to have them with us today. Our child sledding this morning is from Kathy Huff. What did I do? Get our flame going. This is our flaming chalice, symbolized the chalice of community and the flame of faith and hope and courage, beacon of light in the world. It was a symbol of resistance against the Nazis in World War II, and has become a tradition in UU churches around the world. Spirit of life, be present with us this hour. Join us today as we gather in a wider search for truth and purpose. In this quest, may we greet one another with open hearts and minds. May we inspire each other to consider new questions and seek deeper meaning. May we cultivate wisdom and compassion. Let all who enter this sanctuary see a welcome face, hear a kind word, and find comfort in this community. And may all that is done and said here today be in service to love and justice. Let us worship together.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Good morning, all. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Breton Saunders. My pronouns are she and her. And of course, as Reverend Shelley said earlier, Sheila McMaster, who is our Director of Religious Education, is feeling under the weather today. So she asked me to just step in, and so I'm kind of just following her script, but also winging it a little bit. So I've been coming to the Calgary Unitarians for a couple years now, and what I've really found here is community and belonging. And just like great people to be around. And one of the other really fabulous things that we have here that I don't think I knew as much about is our Children's and Youth Religious Education program. I actually just recently signed up for their newsletter that gets sent every week, so if you want to sign up for it, there's always great things about what the kids are doing and how it always connects to the stories Sheila shares. So please feel free to chat with me after. So yeah, today we are celebrating Poetry Month with poems that make us laugh. I grew up a lot with the storyteller Roald Dahl. And of course, I knew he was a storyteller, but I also didn't know he was a poet. So today we are going to be reading a little excerpt from the book called The Enormous Crocodile. Has anyone read that book or familiar with it? No, I wasn't either. So yeah, with the children and youth today, downstairs we're going to be making sensory and arts and crafts based on kind of Muggle Wump the Monkey Tales. Going with what I know. So this is a little excerpt from the that book. So Muggle Wump the Monkey. Muggle Wump was sitting in a tree eating nuts. "Hello, Crocky," said Muggle Wump. "What are you up to now?" "I have secret plans and clever tricks," said the crocodile. "Would you like some nuts?" asked Muggle Wump. "I have better things to eat than nuts," sniffed the crocodile. "I didn't think there was anything better than nuts," said Muggle Wump. "Aha," said the enormous crocodile. "The sort of things I'm going to eat have fingers, toenails, arms, and legs, and feet." Muggle Wump went pale and began to shake all over. "You aren't going to gobble up a little child, are you?" he asked. "Of course I am," said the crocodile. "Clothes and all. They taste better with their clothes on." So yeah, that's a little excerpt that kind of talks a little bit about pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, which is kind of the challenge for the kids this week, is being silly, finding fun things to read. And yeah, so again, in this week's newsletter, there was a poem by Roald Dahl that says, "So please, oh please, we beg, we pray, go throw your TV set away, and in its place you can install a lovely bookcase on the wall." So thank you, and if you can all join me now in singing the kids and youth down to stairs, I will be heading down with them.
Have fun down there. Now is the time we take in our service to honor all of life's joys and concerns, the celebrations, the sorrows, the worries, the things that keep us up at night, and the exciting news like cabaret that's just too good not to share with one another. We light a candle for all the things that are going right in the world and in our lives, the good news, the excitement, the beautiful spring, the robins, all the birds coming back. And we light a candle. For good hip replacement surgery. Yep, absolutely. We're in favor of that. And for the challenges and sorrows, the things that continue to make life a little bit heavy and difficult, we want to share those and carry those together so that they're a little bit lighter and easier to bear. And in this week leading up to Earth Day, we pay special attention to our global candle, our Earth candle. For we know that the entire world is in need of care and love and peace and a little more attention to the impact that we have on this beautiful world around us. We all know there is no planet B, and this is the one that we want to care for and nurture and love, the same way that we nurture and love one another in this world. Make a special moment to remember Earth Day this Saturday. There's all sorts of wonderful activities all over Calgary. The Calgary Climate Hub is a good place to look for what's going on in your neighborhood and in our city that is committed to climate change action. So a special prayer for planet Earth today. I've been watching Extrapolations on Apple TV, which is all about the potential catastrophic effects of climate change, and it is sobering and inspiring. We love you, planet Earth. During this time of music, we invite any of you to come forward and light candles of your own or place rocks in our communal bowl of water as we hear this beautiful music.
Deep in our hearts there is a common vision. Deep in our hearts there is a common song. Deep in our hearts there is a common story, telling creation that we are one. Deep in our hearts there is a common purpose. Deep in our hearts there is a common goal. Deep in our hearts there is a sacred message, justice and peace in harmony. Deep in our hearts there is a common longing. Deep in our hearts there is a common theme. Deep in our hearts there is a common current, flowing to freedom like a stream.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Cassie Welburn, and for today anyway. And it's my pleasure this April Poetry Month to invite Lori-Ann Furr and her husband Craig Golumbus, who are part of a musical duo called Bluebird Telegraph. Lori-Ann Furr is a member of the League of Canadian Poets, and she makes herself so generously amongst the community, teaching poetry, helping people, all kinds of things. And she's also had a book come out called Night Flying, and about her childhood growing up in a military family. Today she's going to grace us with some wonderful songs, poetic songs, and some of her poetry. And she's going to be backed up with her husband, Craig. So let's give a big welcome to Lori-Ann Furr.
Oh, hi. Hi, everyone. How are you today? It's a pleasure to be invited here to share some poems with Cassie and Carl, who are also going to share some poems today. And we have a song. And the theme is that we're going to try to be funny. And I have to warn you, I'm not a stand-up comedian, although I did almost set my hair on fire over there. And it's funnier because I didn't, but there's a smell, I don't know. And since I'm not on fire, I think like things can only get better from here. So just as Craig gets his guitar set up, I thought I would start with a poem or two, and then grab my guitar. It just takes a minute for him to get his amp going. He's got to fire it up. And it's pedal powered too. He's got to do some pedaling back there. Okay, so last year for Poetry Month, I decided to try to share a poem every day in April. And I thought at first I was going to do excerpts from things that I had, but to fit on Instagram, it's got to be a really specific size. And it ended up being easier just to write all new poems. So this is from a series called 5 Predictions, High Accuracy. Prediction number 3 with chance procedure. You will nuke your coffee 1 too many times and gain a superpower. To learn which one, roll 2 die 6 and refer to the following chart. 1, X-ray vision. 2, invisible toucha. 3, fold bottom sheets. 4, gluten tolerance. If you don't have that already, that's a real good one. 5, spectral taxidermy. 6, summon bugbears. Those of you that have played Dungeons and Dragons know that that could be good or bad, depending if the bugbear actually does your bidding or eats you. 7, cure true love. There ain't no cure for love. 8, remember grocery bags. I need that one badly. 9, do the floss. I think I got that one. Okay. Something like that. 10, recite Shakespearean plays. 11, breathe underwater. And 12, Elton John bass lines. And I assure you that is the hardest one. In the event you have gained multiple superpowers, combine them at your own risk. The Unnuking Machine got lost in transit with Genesis together and apart on Blu-ray. Prediction number 5 with bluegrass or folk. There will be consequences to using the lawn edger for an ice chipper. Hands up if you've done this before. Just us, I guess. With cracks in the sidewalk, your lawn will have no edge, spread past hedges, deke fences, crawl across sidewalks and alleys, green all the parking lots, Joni Mitchell in reverse. Pave a pair of dice, throw heavy chances. Your heart will weigh as much as her new boxed set once you've chipped out a world of edgeless glory. Okay. Maybe a couple of poems after, but we got to get on to the song. And you'll come up with a big shepherd's crook if I go over time, right? May I borrow the stand? Take a moment for tuning. It's much more joyful to be in tune. Though one of my favorite funny songwriters, Robin Hitchcock, said that often when you're tuning, it's the errant string that's correct. And those of you who are rebels might appreciate that as well. Thank you, sweetie. This is Craig Columbus, my partner. Pronouns he, him. My pronouns are she, her. Though if you called me they, I wouldn't be offended at all. Okay, well, this song I wrote after completing a night shift, or just prior to that, at Heritage Park last summer. I was mostly being a Heritage Park security guard and picking up what shifts I could, including the night shift. This is called Workin' for a Dyin'. So the way that I tend to incorporate humor into songs and poetry is, when it's a bit of a dark subject, a little bit of levity can help us get through it, right? And I was seeing the humor in my position there, even as I was not enjoying it thoroughly all the time. Ready? Okay. Is the guitar coming through okay? I'm kind of a light strummer, so I hope it's gonna work. Last day on the night shift, might pass out on the lawn. I'll go to bed at sunrise and dream into the dawn. And if sleep is kind to me, I won't wake till past noon, but might not sleep again until the setting of the moon. I am an insecure night security guard at the Pioneer Park. To stay awake can be so hard. Ghosts come out to haunt me 'cause they know I don't believe. My sleep-deprived mind keeps playing tricks on me. All this working for a living's got me dying. Trying to print more money while the last stack is still drying. Exhaustion's made it dark inside my head today. Sit and watch a show until I feel okay. And if you pick up the pizza, I will pay. Driving home in my jalopy, I was feeling pretty floppy. I made a little stoppie at the drive-thru by the mall. You wouldn't think that you could fall asleep while you were eating, but you could fall asleep while doing anything at all. All this working for a living's got me dying. Trying to print more money while the last stack is still drying. Exhaustion's made it dark inside my head today. Sit and watch a show until I feel okay. This time I'll pick up the pizza if you pay. When you're tired enough, you're disembodied. You can float just like a ghost above your body and look down upon the patterns that you keep repeating. Just hope your heart is strong enough to keep on beating. Those moments when you're so darn tired, you just stop breathing. Thank you. I know there must be more to life than trying to pay the bills, but minimum wage offers minimum thrills. So I looked and left and landed a new life. Just a little more money might be a little less strife. All this working for a dying's got me livid. Playing at the bars just leaves my assets turning liquid. Exhaustion's made it dark inside my head today. And if you looked inside, you'd see a rainbow painted gray. Please stay with me until I feel okay. Just lay with me until I feel okay. First day on the day shift, second cup of joe. I smile across my desk and hope the tired doesn't show. Thank you. Kissing in church, that means we're married now. I get half of your guitar. I'm not sure how I'm doing for time. I think that song's a bit of a long one. Whoops. Feeding back a little bit. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, as a poetry instructor, I try to encourage my students to look for poems in unusual places. In fact, anywhere. And to that end, I was looking out the window during one of our sessions on Zoom. On Sundays, I do a poetry cafe with the Alexandra Writers Center Society. It moved to Zoom in the pandemic, and we continue to do it there. Anybody that wants to join us can come and write poems. And we write poems to prompts, and then we share them with each other. And so this is a poem that I wrote when I looked out the back window. Broken Gazebo Dreams. The naked skeleton of a pop-up gazebo crouches at the far side of the lawn, gnashed by a toothsome autumn wind. One gnarled and crooked leg won't let her climb in her canvas cocoon for winter, though first snowfall gave her a new fur coat. She braces herself, mainly slumbers, when not insolent with bad hip ache. Though rust, as Neil sang, never sleeps. Rust, a naughty pup, stays up late, chaws bent femur for midnight munchies, gives gazebo dreams. Road trips to mountain campgrounds paint a smooth, unbroken horizon, tall pines reflected in shiny newness. Not the yawing junkyard acreage of Grandpa Metal and his entire extended clan, that hopeless family reunion of the machined, of hollow souls with expired warranties, their busted racks, holy tailpipes, and bent aluminum limbs, like hers, reduced to dangerous playthings for canine security. All that she sees or seems but a bad dream, within the jaws of a Schutzhund. No, she rises to her spindly height, walks away on legs, strides over the fence, finds a mate in the patio furniture of nearby yards, makes shambling love in the lush winter silence of snowy dusk, starts a family of lawn chairs to call her own. What do you think? Maybe one more? Not sure where I'm at. Okay. I was part of a group called Photosynthesis, and it didn't have to do with plants so much as it had to do with synthesizing poetry and photographs and art, and writing ekphrastically, as we call it, when we write poetry about other art forms. So this was inspired by a photo by Jackie Harbidge, called Which Way to the Beach, and it was a photo of Chinese geese in Hawaii. You've flown all the way from China to Hawaii. Boy, are your wings tired, and you can't find the beach. Truth is, your goose is cooked. You've never seen one. They say beaches are beachin', but first let's enjoy Mai Tais, margaritas, and mango martinis. Sadly, little paper umbrellas might not pick up a trade wind and blow you to the beach if time management skills are also on vacation. March 4th to the wet bar. Here, sight is pleasure. Cute goslings to cuddle, handsome ganders to gander, and those volcanoes steaming, ready to blow at any moment. Apply sunscreen liberally or become Christmas roast. A yen on for tourism, photographic memories, click, click, click. List the lull of the luau, the lovely ukulele lady. Eat pig of the spit over pit. Marvel at big crisp ears, you've always wanted a pair of your own. When all the human snowbirds, not a feather to their names, disappear from lounge chairs, you're feeling serious FOMO. Time to leave already? Goose headquarters sends word through cranial shortwave radio. All geese must gather on the beach for northward takeoff. Suddenly, you're surrounded. Turns out you've been beached all along. You silly goose. Thanks, everyone. Have a joyful Poetry Month and enjoy the rest of the day. That's good. Right. Thank you so much.
That was just so delightful, Lorianne. Thank you so much. Lorianne Fair. Woo. I hope you can stay around a little while before. I'm sure people want to talk to you more. And it's my pleasure to introduce Carl Svoboda, our very own Unitarian poet. And he's been writing poetry for a very long time on some really unusual subjects. I always find it very delightful to hear his poems. And he was with me on Friday night when we did stand-up poetry, and we had a bunch of different people writing poems, and some of them for the first time coming up to a mic. It was just such a pleasure to see a variety of people getting the courage, and sometimes people just want to write and not go up to the mic. That's okay too. Carl Svoboda.
Well, thank you. What am I doing wrong? All right, is that coming through? Good. Yeah, I got a couple for you here. When I first came to Canada in 1970, my first job in the oil patch was in Fort St. John, BC. And I was single in those days, so for company, I used to hang around with a bunch of school teachers. And this poem is about one of them that I met. It's called Andrea Porter. Andrea was a British expat teaching school in Fort St. John. She hadn't fired a gun in her life, but was curious about local customs. So we took my M1 carbine and a few clips of ammo and went to the town dump on the hills above the Peace River, where there were lots of bottles and cans for targets. I explained the basics to her, and then we took turns shooting. And it soon became apparent that she was a better shot than I, which embarrassed her, thinking perhaps I would be upset. But I thought it was funny and said it was because she was a trained dancer and had superior coordination. That was my excuse anyway. The next poem is actually from the other end of my career in the oil patch. It's called Retirement Party. When I went to my office to hang up my coat, somebody else had moved in. By then I had been there for 17 years, 11 as chief engineer, and it was good, almost all of it. The party was well attended. The VP said nice things about me. They gave me a painting, a cross-country ski scene. No skier, just a set of tracks, disappearing into the bush. Okay, a couple of years ago, we moved out of the house we'd lived in for 40-odd years after downsizing. And we live in a nice villa-style condo development. And it's nice there that you don't have to shovel snow, you don't have to mow lawn and do yard maintenance and all that. The downside of that, of course, is that if you want to plant a garden, you've got no place to plant one. So this poem is called Our New Yard. There isn't much to it, a 1-meter strip around the building, bounded by landscape lumber filled with crushed red shale. Even there are restrictions. Plants in pots only, nothing planted in the ground. Too bad. There are a couple of spots where raspberries would do well, and they don't mind gravel. Anyway, I think maintenance sprays the shale to keep the weeds down. Outside my office window, a single stalk of quackgrass hugs the basement wall, its top leaves peeking over the sill. I watch a black ant pick its way across the rocks, like a little robot rover on the surface of Mars. Okay. My time up? One? Okay. Well, this is one more. My dad is of Czech ancestry on both sides. His father came over from the old country, and my grandmother's family, a couple of generations before that, but they're all Czechs. And late in his life, he decided he would like to take a visit over there just to see what the place looked like. So this one is called Dad Visits the Ancestral Homeland. His Arizona sunshine and golf course bonhomie left behind at 83. In early dementia, childhood Czech forgotten. He walks the wet gray cobbles across the Charles Bridge in his golfing jacket and Wisconsin Badgers cap, following the forest of umbrellas into the old city, with me, the dutiful son, along to keep him out of trouble. His pocket picked in the metro that morning. That's it.
Thank you, Carl. You do that with such grace. Carl is putting together a manuscript, by the way. Watch out. We had so much fun on Friday, and actually the whole month. Lorianne Furr was helpful in putting together a whole poetry festival last weekend. And there's so many other things you can do. April 27th is Poem in Your Pocket Day. Everyone in Canada is supposed to put a poem in their pocket. It doesn't have to be one you wrote, but it can't stay in your pocket. You do have to share it with people the entire day. So just be prepared, okay? Now I just have to say a few words that I know Earth Day is coming up, and I love being in nature, but I do have a bit of a problem with nature sometimes. You know, it kind of gets in your hair. And when you're trying to do something really nice, like you invite your son and his new lady to come see you in Calgary, gonna go to Banff, and like, why don't we walk up a mountain? I think it's a beautiful place to get to know people, and like, who's not to like Banff, you know? And then nature does her thing. This is called The Song the Mountain Sings. Just in case you think you're important, a mountain is a great parlor, I'm thinking, to ask a guest into. And she smiles following my son up the steep rise. Such a welcome landing place, I hope, for all we have to say. But our talk is mocked by crows and ravens. The wind watches near the top to steal our breath away and toss words into tumbling stones that vanish without a sound. Here, where the branches are waving, bending, there's a sheer drop-off to comprehend, a ledge to tiptoe across, a great glass pitcher to pour thoughts from. I'm thinking. But even our speech is stolen by whiskey jacks, tossed from tree to tree and eaten before we can remember a thing. Trees begin to hassle us, touching our necks, whispering bald-faced lies into our ears that we can hardly hear, and then laughing at us, making up our own words to confuse us. That is like, how do they do that? Only the chipmunk chattering in my ears brings back old memories of my early climbs and I see the young student I once was running with my pals, running right up that mountain, silly with spring and poetry. We used to sing, I say. We ran to the top, as though I can remember all the lyrics, and I laugh too much, far too much. The wind is offended and carries off my words, playing stickball with my memories. So nosy, it interferes with my thoughts and turns them into its own. You haven't heard a thing, it says. No, sings right into my shirt, right into my jacket, it's singing. Almost blowing my guest away. I see her open mouth, calling what must be words, and my son looking for a walking stick he thinks I need to reach the top. Then all our talk is swept away, falling between the cracks, and at the summit, we are placed on a flat rock with the fat hands of gravity. There is only one song, it says. There is only the song the mountain sings. Okay, I acknowledge you're important, but just, maybe I'll leave this one. I don't know. I'm so impressed by this new poet called Harry Baker in England, who does a lot of political poetry. I'll just snap this off as fast as I can. You'll have to look him up. It's called Paper People. I like people. I'd like paper people. There'd be purple paper people, and I would probably prop them up with a proper purple people paperclip, because I could build a pop-up metropolis, and I wouldn't want to deal with the paper people politics, paper politicians with their paper-thin policies, broken promises without appropriate apologies. There'd be a little paper me and a little paper you, and in a pop-up population, people's problems pop up too. Just going to go here. You are people, you have potential to be powerful. Just because the people in power tend to be victims, we don't need to succumb to that system. A paper population is no different, because even when the situation's dire, it's only ever people who are able to inspire. And on paper, it's easy to see. But in the bottom of Pandora's box, there's still hope. There's a little paper me and a little paper you. And in a pop-up population, people's problems pop up too. But even if the whole world fell apart, then we'd still make it through because we're people.
Truly joyful indeed. And now we take some time to offer our support to this community that supports us with so much joy, so much love, the creativity and passion of our people sharing gifts with one another. What a privilege it is to be a part of this special community. And we're only able to continue because of your wonderful, generous support. Thank you for your gifts. Your gifts will now be gratefully received. And we're also supporting Skipping Stone this month, a wonderful Calgary organization that supports the trans and gender diverse family and youth of Calgary with specific programming just for them. They are great partners, and we're so grateful to be able to offer them our love and support. Ushers, please come forward.
This is a sing-along. You guys are going to have to help me with it. All right, here we go. Oh, we're doing the offer. Jeremiah was a bullfrog, was a good friend of mine. Never understood a single word he said, but I helped him drink his wine. And he always had some very fine wine, singing joy to the world. All the boys and girls now, joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea, joy to you and me. in the world, tell you what I'd do. I'd throw away the cars and the bars and the war and spend more time with you. Sing it now. Joy to the world, all the boys and girls now. Joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me. Sing joy to the world, all the boys and girls. Joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me. Joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me.
Nice, very nice. Thank you. Now you know how old I am. We extinguish our chalice with the words of one of my favorite poets, Mary Oliver, who was friends with the poet James Wright. She says, a lesson from James Wright. If James Wright could put in his book of poems a blank page dedicated to the horse David who ate one of my poems, I'm ready to follow him along this sweet path he cut through dryness and suggest that you sit now very quietly in some lovely wild place and listen to the silence. And I say, this too is a poem. Now, you're all invited to join us for coffee time in Wickenden Hall, and those of you on Zoom, there'll be a link in the chat box so that you can continue this conversation and share poems with one another of your own. And we sure hope that we'll see you again on another Sunday, and that you will take the opportunity to celebrate Earth Day this week. And looking forward to that April 27th Poem in Your Pocket Day. There's a list of poems on their website in case you need one. And I think we should all do that, a Poem in Our Pocket Day. That's a wonderful idea. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing When the Spirit Says Do.
Will you clap with me? You've got to do when the Spirit says do. You've got to do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you got to do. Oh Lord, you've got to do when the Spirit says do. 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 You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you got to do. Oh Lord, you got to sing when the Spirit says sing. 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 You got to shout when the Spirit says shout. You got to shout when the Spirit says shout. When the Spirit says shout, you got to shout, oh Lord. You got to shout when the Spirit says shout. 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 Spirit says do.
All right. Thank you, everybody.